So we're going to be talking a little bit about the original design. Does anybody remember what we talked about on Monday concerning relationships? Come on, brother. Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Anybody? So when we talk about oneness, right? It's the oneness is for a particular purpose. So I pastored a church, right, that I planted. And before that, we were a parachurch ministry, which means we were like an outreach ministry that worked alongside of a church, right? So we were our own individual entity, but we partner with other churches. So it was certain things I learned along the way that kept me in a humble place, right? There were certain things I learned along the way that kept me in a humble place. Jesus said in the scriptures, he said, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. When he was talking about the leaven of the Pharisees, it's a false sense of importance, right? It's a false sense of importance. The religious leaders, they thought they were so important that God couldn't do anything apart from their agreement, right? So Jesus told us to beware of that, right? If you're a mentor, you're carrying the message, you're a husband, you're a father, it's easy to get in the ego and think that you're super important, right? You start thinking that you're more important than you really are, okay? So that's something that I had to learn to be careful and watch out for as a leader of other people, as a pastor of a church. It's easy for pastors to think they're more important than they really are. Okay? So I was taught real quick and I was put in my place real quick, right? I hear pastors say like, hey, they're the mouthpiece of God, or they take on this responsibility to be the leader of the people in the church. Or as a husband, the husband's responsibility is to lead the wife. Right? So I was taught all these things, and then I had to relearn some things. I was taught by God that those things aren't true. As I was the pastor of the church, I was corrected by God to understand that I'm no one's leader in this entire church. I'm nobody's leader here. My position as the pastor was not to be these individual people's leader. That wasn't my job. I wasn't there to lead their personal lives and to make decisions for them in their personal lives or amongst their relationships or in their family. That wasn't my job. In fact, I was corrected by the Lord to realize that it's not even my job to be my wife's leader. I was corrected to understand that I'm only responsible for 2 people, now 3. I'm only responsible for 3 people in the entire world. I'm not responsible for my wife. I'm not responsible for all these people in the church. I'm not their leader. I'm not my wife's leader. The only 3 people I'm responsible for is the ones that I brought into this world that can't be responsible for themselves, and that's my children. You're like, well, what do you mean? You're the pastor. You listen, this is what I was taught. It put things in the proper perspective. That my wife's leader is God. Like, she has her own relationship with God. Like, she has her own responsibility to connect with God and serve God and do whatever God wants her to do. Apart from me, I have nothing to do with that. She's going to have to stand before God by herself and give an answer to what she did with the things God gave her to do. I have nothing to do with that. But I am a leader over my wife in a sense of a marriage. So when God brought my wife and I together as a marriage, our marriage is designed to accomplish something. And what our marriage is designed to accomplish, I oversee that. So I'm the leader within the confines of our marriage. It's not my responsibility to tell my wife everything she's supposed to be doing in her life. She's a grown woman and she has her own relationship with God. That's not my job. But when it comes to the marriage and what we're in agreement to accomplish, I have a responsibility to lead that charge. The same thing with the church. With the church, our church had a particular assignment that we believe we were supposed to accomplish. A particular thing. Our church was designed to be a resource center for the community. So we would go evangelize, we would go door to door, we would go in the community and talk with them. And I instructed our church that when we go out to talk to people, to never invite them to our church. That was like my number one rule. Don't invite anybody to the church, which seems paradoxical, but the purpose was for us to help the community, not to try to get the community to our church. So I had a rule, do not invite anyone to the church. The only way we can invite them to the church is if they asked about that and they wanted more information about our church, then we would provide the information. But we weren't trying to collect people to our church. We was trying to help the community. And what I realized is that the community has a black eye from the church doing that. That the only time you see the church active in the community is when they have an event that they want to invite people to. So what we did was we postured ourselves to bring real solutions to the community. And we didn't make that up. We went door to door and asked them, hey, what can we help the community with? It was a main street here, and our church was on a little side street. Well, people would try to avoid the light on the main street, and they would go through our side street where the church is at, and they would speed through to kind of cut past the light. So it was like a unanimous thing. We went door to door in our community. The main thing they wanted was a speed bump. So we did that. We advocated for them to get a speed bump because people got children and people are always speeding down the street. So we made our purpose to be a resource center for the community. That was our purpose. Okay? Y'all okay so far? So to accomplish that, it required a group of people. Not one person by themselves couldn't accomplish that. It required a group of people to accomplish that. So this group of people got around this assignment to be a resource center to the community. They weren't just paying tithes so that the pastor can have a nice car. No, their offerings and their tithes went to us putting stuff in the community, giving to the community. You understand what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is like, that assignment gave context to why we were doing everything. Why you're giving, like what is your giving going to, like why are we doing this particular thing? So me being the leader, I'm telling you, like I had to separate myself from trying to solve everyone's personal problems. Because that's not my job. That's God's job. That's not my job to solve every individual's personal problems. That's God's job, and I will be robbing them of the responsibility of going to God for themselves so that their personal problems can be resolved. I had to avoid that. I had to avoid becoming some idol where I have all the answers for everyone. Even sometimes I would have the answer and I can't give it to them. I would have the answer. It's like, nah, you need to go pray about that and seek God and see what God tell you. You need to go pray and seek God. That's why I love it here. You want to go do a 10-step, what's the first thing to ask you? Did you pray about it? Because we have to avoid the temptation of leaning on people for all your answers. That's how the pastor become this idol, right? It's like, so why am I saying all of that? I'm still talking about marriage and relationships. I'm saying these things because I learned my role and my responsibility by understanding the purpose of the relationships that I'm in. My marriage has a purpose. Inside of the purpose of my marriage, I have a responsibility there. Right? The church, we had a purpose. Inside of the church, everyone has a significant responsibility. I had a responsibility to oversee and to coordinate everything. My job wasn't to be this person's leader, this person's leader. That's not my job. My job is to coordinate our efforts to complete our assignment. This is very healthy for me. This should be healthy for some of y'all. Like, I'm not doing enough. What am I supposed to be doing? You know what you were supposed to be doing? What you asked to do. I feel like I want to help this person. I'm helping that. I want to help. No. Are you a mentor? No. Okay, well, you're supposed to be learning. See, I started learning my role in every environment because I understood the relationship. Now you're a mentor, right? And you got mentees under you. It's like, oh, I'm trying to help my mentor. I'm trying to help my mentee get it. That's not your responsibility. Oh, they lacking on their program. I'm trying to. No, it's not your job to try to get them to see. Some people just ain't ready. Some people got to fall 5 more times before they realize how crucial it is. What I'm trying to show you is just stay within the confines of your responsibility in that relationship. You don't have to do more and you don't have to do less. Just do your responsibility. All right? So I'm saying all of that because it's the same thing with a marriage. All right, let's go to Genesis 1. Y'all okay so far? Y'all look sleepy.
Very.
Genesis 1:26. It says, then God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock. Dang, paper stuck together. The wild animals on the earth and the small animals that scurry along the ground. So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Then God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and govern it. Reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground. All right? So, yeah. Okay, cool. So, some of the points I have here on the page that I wanted to bring up, that when we're talking about marriage, I wanted to start here to kind of create a pattern of how God designed it. So he created man and woman in his image and likeness. If y'all look at the paper, I have some of the definitions. When you talk about the image, you're talking about the reflection of God's attributes, right? So being kind, being loving, right? These are some of the attributes of God. Being gracious, being merciful, being righteous, being holy. So when God created man, he created them to have that same character as him. And then it says likeness. The likeness talks about the resemblance, the shape, or the model. In other words, you have 2 hands because God have 2 hands. You have 2 eyes because God have 2 eyes. You have 2 ears, God has 2 ears. You were made in his resemblance. Okay? The next thing I want to point out is that he gave them rulership. He gave them dominion. Wait, let me ask y'all, anybody got any thoughts or comments so far? Okay. So he gave them rulership. Now notice what it says. It says, he said in verse 26, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. What?
Well, I think you might have touched on this or somebody did. They used the word us.
Us?
Yeah.
When God says like us?
Yeah.
Well, it's the Father and the Son.
Okay.
Why? What's up?
Well, I mean, if he, so there's confusion here where some people think that the use of words was him and angels.
No.
So let's clarify that whole thing.
You're not made like the angels.
Right. So if you made humans, the first human beings on earth, why is he using the word us in something that doesn't exist yet?
What you mean? The us does exist. It's the Father and the Son.
Okay, that answers the question.
Yeah. So that's the us. It's the Father and the Son. Like, some people don't like that answer, but I mean, according to the Bible, that's the best one I got. You could consider the angels, but we're not made like the angels.
Right.
We don't have wings. Like, it's so many different type of angels. Like, there's an angel that look like a wheel with eyes all over it. You're not made like that. So you got 10 different classifications of angels. Only one of them look like human beings. There's some angels that look like dragons. A seraph is actually a dragon or a serpent. So when the Bible talk about a seraphim, it look like a dragon with wings, with multiple wings. So we're not made like them. Then you got living creatures that got one head and 4 different faces. Then you got other angels that they navigate spatial, like they navigate the heavenly realm, and they have wheels under their feet, and wherever direction they go, the wheels turn with them. You're not made like that. We're not made like them. We made like God. So when he was saying, let us, he's not including the angels, because that's like the us, you including lions. Because look, he made animals before he made human beings. So somebody could say that the lions already existed before he made the human beings. So the us could have been lions, but we know that's not that. Because we don't have the shape and the resemblance of lions. And we know that a lion can't create a human being. So whoever the us is, we have to resemble them. And whoever the us is had to participate in creating the human being. You follow me? So people don't like this answer, but the answer is it's the fact. Yeah, I'm not. It's not me saying people don't like it. Not necessarily directed towards you. You'll come across these conversations sometime, and then people are, I thought God was one, and why is it us? And da. So it starts to open up a whole conversation. But we learn later in the Bible that Jesus was a part of that us. Come on, Jordan.
I was just wondering if it says us in all the translations.
It does.
Maybe this one.
Not all the translations. Yep. Does that help, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Okay, good. If anybody need more information, I can give more information on that. But that's John chapter 1, verse 1 through 3, where it tell you that Jesus was in the beginning with God and he participated in creation. All right, y'all okay?
Yep.
Anybody else need to get up, get a drink of water, do anything? I know y'all don't think so, but it's like people keep moving like that. It's a distraction. So if anybody else got to go to the bathroom, go. But let's try to limit it. All right. Okay. So it says in verse 26, it says, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. Listen, they will reign over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and the livestock. So I have here on the paper, the second Roman numeral, it says dominion and authority. They were called to rule. Now, why is that important? Because if you're married or you in a relationship or you're seeking to be in a relationship, just because you're the man, you're not the ruler over your wife. You're not the ruler over your woman. Now, maybe you are. Maybe that's the way you like it. And I'm not going to judge you, but I'm just teaching you biblically how it's designed to be from the beginning. It's not designed for you to rule over her. Well, I'm the man. She better do what I say. Like, no. It's designed for y'all to rule together. You know? I was like that, man. My wife, she better do what I say. I'm the man. Like, I lead. Like, look. And guess what? I do still lead. But it was created for them to partner in rulership. So who's going to rule over one? Is the man ruling over the wife? Is the wife ruling over the man? No. They're ruling together. Okay. Y'all okay? Okay. So I have that there. Marriage is a partnership and leadership. Okay. Let's say like this, right? Remember, there's a purpose for a marriage. It takes two people. That's you, and that's her.
Could you remove that you're wrong?
All right. What is one thing that it takes two people to do? A male and a female.
Reproduce.
Right. Have a baby. All right. So now they're both leading the baby. Let's say they had more. Right? They're trying to, this the first one, try to tell the other ones what to do. But he's not the leader of them. The leader over the family is them. The parents are the leader. The father's not the leader. The mother's not the leader. The mother and the father are the leaders of the children.
Zay.
Come on.
I got a question.
Go ahead, bro.
You know, I was a stepdad for a while before I burned that down.
Okay.
Same rules apply?
Yeah. It's your house, it's your family, yeah. That's where things get a little twisted. I mean, because, you know, there could be some nuance there, depending on the father and the relationship and stuff like that. But yeah, like if I'm a stepdad and I marry her and she has children, like that's something that we have to get in order. Because if you marry somebody that already have children, oh man, it's so much stuff. Like she'll hold that against you because she'll be like, these are my kids. Like you can't discipline them. No, like it'll come to a point where she'll feel she has to choose the kids over you. But that's out of order too. Any parent choosing the kids over the spouse is out of order. God created them to be for each other as a team. He didn't create a father and a son to be a team. He created the father and the mother to be a team, not the father and the child, not the mother and the child. You know what that's called? Spousification. You heard of that before?
No, but I like it.
Ask Lillian about it. She'll tell you. They have parentification and then spousification. Spousification is like, let's say that the dad leave, right? The mom and dad break up. You're a baby daddy now, right? The child stay with the mom. He become 14 and she like, you the man of the house. So she started looking for the son to be what the father's supposed to be. Then the mom and the son develop a weird bond. It's called spousification. Like the mother start looking for the son to fulfill what the dad didn't. The dad don't talk, he just go to work. But the mother start looking for the son to provide that emotional part that the dad don't provide. It's called spousification. You gotta get delivered from that.
What's in that situation?
I'm dead serious. That's a real thing. Ask Lillian, she'll tell you. And then they have one called parentification. Parentification is when you put adult responsibilities on children. Okay, so he created them to lead them. Now, inside of the parent relationship, it's about to be over anyway. We got 10 minutes anyway. Inside of the parent relationship, they have two different roles. They have two different responsibilities. The man has a responsibility to the children. The woman has a responsibility to the children. His responsibility is not more important than hers, and hers is not more important than his. Both of their responsibility is equally important, even though it's different. Why am I showing you that? I'm showing you how they are called to lead. He's not called to be her leader. They are called to be their leaders. All right. I'm going to have to finish this probably tomorrow morning, but let me just keep going. What are some of the responsibilities he gave them? He told them to reign together, right? Not the man reign over the woman. Then he said, he blessed them and told them to be fruitful and multiply, to fill the earth and govern it. Reign over the sea, reign over the birds, da-da-da-da-da. So even without being super religious, this is true. There's no animal that doesn't exist that man hasn't made subject to him. I mean, even the wildest animals, lions and tigers and bears, we can go to the zoo and see how man has subjugated every animal. Okay? So this is not really a super religious thing. We can see that man is a species that dominates all the other species. Right? Now, I have here, replenish the earth, right? The King James says, replenish the earth. This version says, fill the earth. The earth, yeah. So they had a responsibility to rule together, to have dominion together, to have responsibility over creation together, to replenish the earth together. I have here, what does replenishing mean? Like when you think of replenishing something, when you replenish something, that means something is lacking. Right? Something is lacking, right? So God gave them responsibility to replenish something that's lacking. All right? The second thing, identify what has been lost or where there is a lack. So let me make it a practical example. One of the things that all of us are called to replenish is sobriety. So we're going to go help other alcoholics and other addicts. Why? Because there's a lack of sobriety there, right? Some of the places we live, some of the places we come from, everybody on drugs, everybody alcoholics, right? Or maybe they're hard drinkers or whatever, but a lot of us come from environments that a lot of people have problems like that. But God is looking for one person that can help replenish what's lost. Maybe in this group, maybe in the community, the majority of people judge and gossip. Who would be the one person that's replenished what's lacking? Somebody got to be like, you know what? I don't want to talk negative about that person. Listen, if you have something to say about that person, why don't you go talk to them? Like somebody has to be willing to do that. Right? You could be in a community, right? Everybody's selfish. You know what? I just got to work my own program. I can't worry about nobody else. You could get into a rut and be selfish, right? But somebody has to be willing to show self-sacrifice where there's a lack at. Maybe there's a lack of kindness, right? Maybe it's always iron sharpen iron and there's always hard accountabilities. It's always negative. Everybody's always pointing out the bad. But somebody got to replenish the good part, though. Somebody got to just walk around and start speaking positive. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yes. Okay. So he gave them a responsibility to replenish the earth with what? Fruit. Be fruitful and multiply, he said. All right, what does that refer to? Physical multiplication, that's having children. Spiritual multiplication, reproducing godliness, right? I have here the fruit of the Spirit, right? In the Bible, it talk about the fruit of the Spirit. So we're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. You're actually replenishing things that lack. It's a lack of love in the world. It's a lack of peace. It's a lack of kindness. It's a lack of serving other people, right? Being fruitful and multiply. Some of us will get the opportunity to reproduce divine experiences for others. A simple way that you'll help somebody else have an experience with God when you participate in doing in 5 steps. When you help people go through the steps, you're helping people have an experience the same way you did. All right. So these are just, I'm reading all this stuff just to say, what I'm trying to do is just define like some of the purposes that he brought them together. You notice he didn't say anything about you know, the wife just being there to please the husband anytime he needed. Doesn't say that there. It doesn't say anything about the husband, you know, being so successful that the wife is just looking for a husband so that she don't got to work and she could be stay at home. It doesn't say that there, because that's not the purpose of a marriage. A woman that's just looking for a man because he has money and he could provide a certain lifestyle for you, that's a marriage that's gonna fail.
Done it twice.
Okay. Right? A man that's just looking for a woman that's just gonna please his wildest sexual fantasies, and that's the reason why he's getting married, it's a high probability it's gonna fail. Now, those are some of the benefits, but if that's the reason why you getting married, okay. What time we got? 1:47? Got 3 minutes. Anybody got any questions? I'm not even gonna go any further. I'm gonna split that second half and we'll do it tomorrow morning.
Actually,
Come on.
When you mentioned